Okay, everybody, welcome back to Learning from Home and its Christmas theme special all the way to Christmas. So as you can see, we're all decked out, the trees, the hats, the gear. So Learning from Home is about gearing up to celebrate with everybody and also getting us into positive spirits. So on that note, welcome both and walk us through your Christmas decorations. We've got a reindeer and we have Rudolph. So let's start with the reindeer close to home. Madeline, welcome. Welcome to the
Thank
Christmas,
you.
what do you call it? The Christmas Santa's home. What are we going to call it?
Edition, maybe.
Exactly.
Christmas edition. Yeah. Thank you. Good to be here. Good to be back. Always good.
And Phil, how was the Christmas den over on your side with Rudolph?
Well, it's looking good. I just hope, Sean, that you noticed the England rugby logo in the middle of it there. I just had to get that in there for your benefit, my friend.
Yeah, well, as I said, with December coming up, all I think about is this Christmas and what I'm going to be buying. And so the sport, I'm going to dismiss your comment and ignore the red and think of Rudolph the red nose.
Good to hear.
So as we mentioned in the last podcast, we're going to finish off the year with some podcasts about getting people into the Christmas spirit, because most importantly, we all know it's been a super tough year with everything that's been going on. So that transition, from being the stress, the fatigue, the loneliness, we want to do our bit to try and give people some ideas, some inspiration, and as a way of also entertaining people to get into the Christmas spirit. So we're going to make a fool of ourselves the next couple of weeks. We're going to have some fun. So there's no script. It's just us being, like everybody else, having some Christmas fun, some ideas that everybody can benefit, because right now it's all about people, hence the show. So jump up for the ride, and let's hope that you get some fun, enjoyment, and some humor out of this, because that's what we're all about. So we're going to start the first thing with getting around the Christmas tree, everybody, and work out what are you guys doing in preparation for Christmas, in switching gears from from your work hats, which are taking this hat off and then putting your Christmas hat on physically. What are you guys doing for Christmas? What does Christmas look like in the lead up to from your households and your family? So Madeline, you're always the creative one. What do you got planned for Christmas preparation with your family and yourself and your team?
Actually, I will decorate a Christmas gingerbread house this weekend together with my kids and bake some gingerbread cookies and hope that they won't get burned, because we're doing other decorations at the same time. It's usually kind of a panic. And I think we just went bananas on the entire house. I was thinking that we would do a little bit at the time, but now, well, the kids were like, oh, can we just do this? And can we just decorate the tree? And I was like, yeah, why not? This has been a crazy year. Nothing is the same. Why don't we just do that?
Yeah. And it's a really good point in terms of, transitioning is, as we talked about earlier podcasts, is about, because we've been not present so much in our house because of work meetings and phone calls, of all times when, I know my kids too, like, are super excited about Christmas every single night, is writing Christmas lists, decorating the tree, for us to be present. And Phil, while you talk about what you're doing, can you talk about too how important it is to be present at home, since we get to talk about it at the office, but more so with kids who crave for this time of year? How can we mindful of how we be present with their lives, as well as as parents rather than managers or employees?
I think also was watching a really interesting webcast recently from a guy from the Centre for Future of Work, who was talking about the curse of the social media, and I think if we combine the pressure of social media to steal your time, plus the pressure of, if you like, normal work commitments to steal your time, I think that most leaders that I work with could do themselves a massive favor and give their mobile phone to somebody else for a couple of weeks, so that they can actually just concentrate their time on the people around the rest of the house who matter. Now, whether they've got children and who deserve their time, demand their time, or whether it's just their other half who's also probably been missing out, I would say, give your mobile phone to somebody for a couple of weeks and just enjoy the delights of conversation once again.
Yeah, the old, which is old-fashioned, but I suppose real, authentic communication, face-to-face, since we're lacking so much of it with all the restrictions, but with our own families, own house, then, it's probably even more important to be present and to have that face-to-face communication, and I suppose showing that you care.
I think, I mean, one of the other things that I committed to do and I've done is I decided to send my oh, excuse me.
Must be
Let me
Santa
just
calling. Have you been good? He's asking.
yeah, it could be, couldn't it? I was going to I'd mute. Oh,
We're in
there we
Santa's
are.
house. Santa's helper. You are Rudolph. Don't forget.
Yeah.
Rudolph, are you ready for the 3 weeks? Are you at the gym training for you for the reindeer? It's going to be a big year this year.
Yeah. How about yourself, Sean? What's your preparations? What have you been up to? I
Well,
see
let's
a
say
Christmas
my
tree in your
kids,
background.
like yours, Madeline, are actually prime for Christmas time. I got asked last weekend before December 1st even arrived, Papa, when are we buying the Christmas tree? I said, not until the 1st because it won't last until New Year's Eve. Then he said, but it's the weekend. I said, actually, we'll go and buy it, but we can't put it up until the 1st. So my son and I went out to, both my sons, we went out to buy the biggest Christmas tree we could find every year in the Christmas garden shop, the Real Tree. So we've got a big 2-meter tree, which you can see behind me, top of the roof. And then I had the fun of carrying that inside the house with all the pine needles going through the floor. But then, from the 1st onwards, after school, the first thing my kids did is run through the door, wanted to decorate the tree, and that's putting the ball one by one. And that's where I think taking your advice, that I put the laptop away and the phone and say, decorating this tree, this is an annual family event, that this is what we're going to do together, and one by one. No, there's no rush. Like, let's take our time and let's enjoy the family time because it's been a tough year. So, and that was super fun because we turned the lights off and did the decorations of the tree, and it's quite nice when so often that when they come home, but my wife and I either have meetings or we're talking with work, to actually come home and have the kids, be all of us pretty present without any meetings. So that was our week one of Christmas so far. The advent of Christmas is decorating the tree, getting the tree, and now leading up to Christmas itself. With every night, our sons keep adding to their Christmas list to Santa, which I have to review in terms of like a budget. Oh, I think Christmas Santa won't be able to afford that this year. I think you better make that Plan B or Plan C.
I was going to say to you before Rudolph tried to dial in, was one of the things I committed to do, and I've done this year, is I've sent Christmas cards again. Now, there's an awful lot of argument, what a waste of money. But I'll tell you what, again, what I've done is in each one, I've taken the trouble to write a note, personalized notes to everyone that I've sent it, whether it's neighbors, who of course have become super important in a year when you don't see many other people.
Yeah.
Or whether it's family who I've not spent an awful lot of time with, again, because of the restrictions. Each person has had just 2 or 3 sentences from me, handwritten, of course, just saying, Merry Christmas, and here's something that reminds me of what we've been through this year. And I do think that, you don't have much, but what you do have is time, and it's probably the most precious resource you've got. And if you show people that actually your time matters to them, whether it's taking time to decorate the tree, whether it's taking time to handwrite notes of appreciation, notes of thanks, again, so much more than say a work email saying you've all done very well.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry, really doesn't cut.
No,
but,
exactly.
But something that's handwritten, something that's personal, that's the thing that has a tremendous value in this day and age.
I'm so glad you brought that up, Phil, because with you being the people coach and the leader, I actually did exactly the same thing this week. I actually made an effort to handwrite every Christmas card, and my son to write at the bottom with their own handwriting a personalized note to my family in Australia and in London, and also to my close friends who I normally see, which I haven't seen this year. Just a short personalized note about looking forward to catching up, or something which we've done this year, which we normally do this time of year, like cycling or having a Christmas dinner together in London or and particularly Australia, which I don't see, because I know the joy that a lot of people, particularly my family, get having a personalized card, which our one's got our kids on the front, and having a handwritten message, which is authentic, but also too, as I say, it's something you don't normally get often this year. So I think I really like. I think of all years too, this is the one where people just want to feel like they've got something that they're being thought of, not just an email like thinking about you or WhatsApp chat, hey, what are you up to? Something which they can put in on their window or on their mantelpiece as something which is to motivate them and feel happy, like the endorphins we talked about, your article filled the other week. Those small things, I think people can spend 5 minutes or more, like I say, and I got my kids to make it a fun activity to do together as a family. Let's write our cards to our family and friends. It's another thing which, be engaged, as well as people on the receiving end will get a lot of benefit from, rather than just being, I'll send an email when it's Christmas time.
I'd like to share something on that topic, but that's to strangers. And I'm not sure if you heard about that. It's called Text for Humanity. It's actually the world's first texting switchboard. So it was originally created that it should just counter negativity and SMS and so on. But it's all about sending a text that you would love to get to a stranger, and then you will get one in return. And now they've extended it so that it goes to all the frontline heroes, such as nurses,
fantastic.
doctors, and so on, fighting COVID. And I just think that this is, if we're going to talk about doing good things and good deeds, not only to friends and family, this is something that I would encourage everybody to do, just to show some love to people that really needs it.
Yeah, appreciation, and that's excellent. I'll put that in our show notes, because for us, spreading good ideas and curating things to help these type of ideas, I think it's a really good point, Madeline, in terms of all years, this is the time to really show extra gratitude, particularly, like say, the medical staff and the and nurses and people who are basically helping people who are to survive basically through these things. And that's where I think, rather than just being too close to our family and colleagues about Christmas parties, taking a step back and saying, hey, there's heroes out here who have basically saved so many people around the world who probably even be working Christmas time. So I think the more we can reach out to them in any special way, it'll make a big difference to them, as well as that they deserve it more than anybody else. Speaking of others, I want to switch gears to both you in terms of, since we talk about employees and managers. Now, this year, with most companies not having a Christmas party for obvious reasons, what ideas, particularly you, Madeline, in terms of what you have planned for, or can you give some ideas for teams to have Christmas parties that are not in the office? So I know we're here thinking about virtual Christmas parties, but what if just some ideas, inspiration? Can you guys give some ideas for managers and also employees to come up with their ideas to their manager to have something which is a bit of fun, as well as just some team bonding?
First of all, this year is not like any other year. So just to acknowledge that there are possibilities to do something differently. And whatever you do will make a difference. In my company, we have a huge virtual Christmas party for everybody in Sweden to log into and to join, which I'm really looking forward to. For my own team, I've created a digital Christmas lunch where we will join together and have a Christmas lunch together and discuss and reflect upon the year that has gone. It has been a tough year for us all, in both personally as well as professionally. So it's important to take the time to reflect and to do that together.
Just since being the people who are not very tech savvy, how does a Christmas digital table work, Madeline, in terms of is it a Zoom thing, or is it just, can you just give people some tips about how to set one up if they were new to this type of idea, which I think is brilliant, by the way?
I think it's only your imagination that could possibly put a stop to it. But creating your own team meeting, it's not that complicated. I invited my team for Christmas. Just make everything, it should be Christmas. So choose your own Christmas background. You can just download it to your teams, and then have something nice to eat together, whether you choose to buy it to your team so it comes home to them delivered, or if you just agrees upon that you will eat something special, or everybody brings their own lunch or dinner. And just I think the thought is just to gather together and to take the time to reflect and to stop and to think and to wish each other a really nice happy holidays. And that doesn't change just because we're in the midst of a pandemic. We still have the sort of the caring and the humanity, which is even more important when we sit isolated like this.
I feel like we talk about empathy as leader. What's like, how important are these things in terms of just managers caring about the employees as people, as opposed to, do I have a budget or do I have things? Throw that out the window and just come back to basic thing about people as employees, but people as who need to be respected and also have some fun. What's your view on this?
Well, I just want to give Madeline a tip before we leave the idea of the virtual Christmas lunch, because although I think it's a wonderful idea, the fact that you're getting everybody together, I just wanted you to think about the dynamics of Zoom and the dynamics of eating, because if you think about what we do in real life, when we sit around having dinner together, the one thing we very rarely do is watch each other eating our food. What we do is we spend a lot of time listening to people's conversations. So what I'd really encourage you to do is, it's okay for people to turn their videos off whilst they're munching, but when they're telling a story, turn the video on. So even if other people are eating, they can watch the person, they can interact with the person who's speaking without the embarrassment of chomping through their sandwich or their turkey leg or something like that. So just keep in mind, the psychological aspect of will people be comfortable actually watching each other eat? Probably not. But they're very interested in listening to them speak and in sharing that time together. So.
Exactly, and it's a very good point, particularly if you're somebody who's got a high definition camera and microphone, where I'm sure you don't want to hear people on stereo sound going through the Christmas lunch. So I didn't think about that. So Phil, excellent advice there for everybody who are getting the logistics into a Christmas, especially if you have a big team. So
the other thing I'd probably say, and I did this a couple of years ago with my previous employer actually, is I worked on a virtual Christmas party, and we used WebEx as the delivery platform. Now, WebEx is, as opposed to Zoom or Teams, it has a lot of interactivity and a lot of functionality that allows people to contribute and participate at the same time. So one of the things that you can do, for example, is that you can draw on a whiteboard, or you can draw on a screen together. So we basically created our own Christmas jumper designs. So we split the screen up and we said, right, one team, you've got the top corner, you've got the other corner, you two teams have got the two bottom corners. You've got a minute to decorate a Christmas jumper. And of course, everybody can actually be participating at the same time on the screen. Huge amount of fun. And it doesn't require any cost. Just a little bit of imagination. The other thing that I did very recently with a team is I gave them the opportunity to just prepare a single slide per person of their reflections of 2020. And I said, look, reflections of 2020 at work and at home. And so people had the complete freedom to choose images that reflected what they'd learned from being at home, what they'd learned from work, and again, then 5 minutes to share that. Again, simple exercise, cost virtually nothing, but what it did do, of course, is it gave everybody the opportunity to speak, to be respected for their perspectives. There was no judgment, there was no right or wrong answer. And again, as a leader, you set the tone by starting yourself, and people will follow in terms of that spirit.
There's a famous book, not famous, but I suppose super good book by Simon Sinek, Leaders. Is it Leaders Eat Last? What's the book?
Yes, that's the one.
And I suppose it's a good title to think about this year, in terms of with managers being at the forefront for this year, in terms of how to steer the team with all this uncertainty every single week and restrictions. For once, let the team basically have like a step back and like, hey team, employees, what do you want to do together this year? In terms of, as say, do you want to do a Christmas quiz? I'll set up the meeting, but here's a budget of, as I said, order whatever you want to have home, and then you guys have fun and, as I reflect, or just you set the scene and take a step back as a manager or as a leader, but provide the platform to say, hey, this is your time, because it's been a tough year, and as people, to collaborate together in a way which is meaningful to them, which people, we're all different. So something which I would probably recommend if I was an employee of a team, that you'd like to have that team, team to team, person to person, fun, and to switch off.
And I'm reminded at this of this time, and it's on this conversation, of that lovely quote by Maya Angelou. Maya Angelou, who said that I've learned in life that people forget what you did to them, and people forget what you said to them, but people will never forget the way you made them feel.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Lovely.
And I think that as leaders, that's at the heart of what we're trying to do at this point in time.
Yeah,
is leave them with a feeling that it matters.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think, and this is where, like I say, we said at the beginning that we're all wearing Christmas skewers, and people will probably think, if we're out the window, I talked about neighbours before with you, Phil, and Madeline, that, people, us doing this podcast, people think, what's he doing wearing a hat and a microphone? But hey, it's all about having fun and making people feel good, feel positive. And as I say, Christmas is a time to feel good and to be with people and have fun. So I think, of all times, let your hair down and just have some fun, show some care, empathy, and to make people feel so much better than they have been throughout this year, because I think we all need it. There's no person out there who could disagree with that. So be creative and be silly, as I say. What's the silly season or the jolly season, as they, depending which part of the world you're doing. I see we're almost out of time, which I suppose with the Christmas weekends, what are you guys doing for the first real Christmas weekend coming up? Any virtual parties or decorations? Madeline, Glögg in Sweden, we drink Glögg. Do you have any Glögg parties on the virtual front?
Actually, well, it's no huge parties, unfortunately, as it is what it is, but you're going to have to enjoy yourself, right? So I bought a nice bottle of Glögg, which I haven't tried before. Not sure if I'm going to start with that before the gingerbread cookies or just comfort myself when I burnt them. So to be continued on that one.
Fantastic. And for people who don't know, Glögg in Sweden, it's mulled red wine, so which is super delicious. Google it. Phil, what's over in Rudolph's village over there?
The decorations go up this weekend. There's some lights went onto the tree last weekend just to try and light up the outside, but now it's the inside of the house, so that's going to be our focus. And that lovely smell of pine will be wafting through the house for at least a week before all the leaves drop off.
Exactly. Make sure you keep watering it. Yeah, and for me, I'm going to follow Madeline's approach here. We're having a family bake-off here that my kids love making the Christmas, the Swedish Christmas gingerbread, as well as the Lucia cuts. What are they called, Madeline? The Lucia, they figure eight, or anything Christmas. They want to bake everything. Yeah, Lucia Bullet and Lucia the other things. So
the saffron.
Yeah, the saffron. So everything saffron is the kids have got the list of things to bake. So and I've got, like you, the Glögg ready for my wife and I to enjoy and supervise the cooking bake-a-thon. So it's all Christmas goes. So everybody, enjoy your Christmas so we can get into the Christmas feel. Be creative, create your virtual, look after other people, and we'll see you next week for a crazy Christmas week part 2. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Have a nice weekend.
Thank you.
Bye now.
Bye-bye.
Bye.